It's time for What You Need to Know, where you'll learn the strategies and tools you need to grow your YouTube channel. Here's your host, Nicole Sanchez.
The difference between a good video and a great video is often the preparation that goes into it. Case in point, I have watched videos, been completely engrossed, watched them from end to end, and the production value wasn't even great. But the people had good audio, and they really knew their subject, and what they were talking about was relevant and gave me good information. So one thing that I would say that I have seen across the board in the professional environment at work, where I run 3 YouTube channels for a major tech company, and myself as a solo creator who does everything herself on, I have a luxury hair care and lifestyle channel of my own, and of course I'm here on 100 TV, but doing a bit of prep work. If you know your subject, awesome. But there are different things that you want to talk about. You need to go a little deeper. Do that research. Spend that half hour on the computer, getting that information, and jot down some bullet points so that you kind of stick to the story you want to tell, because it's so easy to go off on tangents and then it makes editing a nightmare, or you might have forgotten something really important. So that is something I would highly recommend, is really doing your research and prepping. When I used to do a whole bunch of live stream videos with people, if you watch live stream, you'll think we just got on and started talking to each other and had this great conversation, usually about technical products and services and things like that. But honestly, what we had done was, ahead of time, we would have emailed about an agenda. Then we would meet and do a dry run, going through the questions, getting familiar with each other, so that when we were live, that there was some sort of, kind of a chemistry. There was, a bit of knowledge about the other person, so you could, ask some questions, kind of know what maybe makes them laugh, or kind of where they're coming from, and made the whole interview better. So that is something that really, I think, is so important. Again, whether you are on camera by yourself, like I am right now, or you are interviewing somebody, a little prep work goes a long, long way. For a while, I had a client I consulted for ages, and he really wanted to do live stream videos, but he wasn't comfortable just getting on camera. Very knowledgeable, very smart guy, but he just didn't want to do it alone. So I acted kind of as his interviewer, as his host. And again, we would ahead of time talk about the topic, the questions I was going to ask, and they were really good interviews and did super well for his business. And he put them onto YouTube and Facebook. I think he put a bit of paid on them. And for him, one client conversion was $20,000. So, for him, if he put this effort into it, had me helping him, and he even closed one deal, it was super worth it, right? And he closed many deals. And the other thing was his topics, what he was talking about, it had to do with the construction industry, actually. It was construction consulting for how construction people run their businesses. And the topics were really, really interesting. He would talk about things like, how to hire the current workforce coming out of college, because it's very different than the one from 10 or 20 years ago, right? And that is something that actually, even though it was specific to the industry he was talking about, the way he was talking about it, it really did translate over to all kinds of other industries. Another thing when I'm talking about prep is to kind of figure out your equipment ahead of time. Like, don't give yourself an unreasonable deadline when you have new equipment. When I got my new camera, it was such a struggle to figure it out, because I went from kind of a higher level consumer type of a camera to a professional video camera. And what I found was that there was really not a lot of information kind of between those two levels. Any YouTube video I found about this camera assumed that you were a professional camera operator and you already knew all this stuff. So I've had a lot of trouble kind of figuring out this camera, because there's nobody talking about all the stuff kind of in between this level and that level. So, if you're getting new equipment, just figure you're going to need to take some time to really figure it out, figure out the settings, how it works, how does it work with your lighting. I had to change some things around with this camera because it just kind of was giving a different look. In fact, in the beginning, my husband was like, okay, why did you buy this? Your old one looked better. Well, it turned out my problem, user error. But anyway, I ended up figuring it out. So, kind of give yourself time for that. And, if you're starting out on YouTube, just know most things take a lot longer than you would ever think. I feel like prepping for a video takes longer than you think. Filming it, usually you can figure how long that'll take. But then the editing takes longer, the thumbnail, the title, the description, all that stuff. Doing a little bit of research. I use TubeBuddy, to kind of figure out what, your titles will be, even what your topics are. You may want to go into TubeBuddy before you even think about filming a video. If you're doing it on, like, I just shot out these 2 hair care products, you might want to check and see, are people really searching for that? Is that a popular topic before you put all this time and effort into it? If you're super passionate about it, hey, of course, go for it. But if you're trying to skew things to where you're going to get more views, that's something else you'll probably want to really look into. If you're watching this video, you're already doing one of the other things I think is super important in terms of prepping for YouTube. You are learning from other people who have been doing it longer than you or differently than you. And I know when I started, I didn't know that people existed out there to help with YouTube. And when I started finding them, it made such a difference and really saved me a lot of time and headache and money in some cases, because when you're starting out, it's just so much if you aren't coming from a professional video background. Again, I had done video work before in the past in my marketing jobs, but I was always using agencies, right? So I was on the client side and I wasn't actually doing the work myself, which I then, obviously got into via live streaming and then, parlaying that kind of into YouTube. So definitely really try to watch some of the channels. If you have a question on how to do something, look, there are great videos out there about all kinds of topics, and take some with a grain of salt, right? A lot of people are selling courses, but a lot of them do also put some great information out there for free. So I think you can find most of what you need for free out there.